Okay, good afternoon. So my name is Sylvia, and I work with KONE Singapore. Now, KONE is one of the world's global leading lift and escalator company. We have a rich history of over 100 years. And with many of our leading companies in the world, KONE has also made significant commitment to sustainability. So we aspire to have carbon neutral operations by 2030. Now, besides focusing on our own operations, we are also developing solutions to help our customers and also to enable smarter and more sustainable cities going forward. So today we are going to talk about some of the people flow innovations. So people flow, I guess in KONE's terminology, is really about how we move people in a building, around a building, and throughout a cities. Okay? With our kind of commitment as well as our actions on the sustainability agenda, KONE is also very proud to be awarded the 19th ranking in Corporate Knights global ranking of the world's most sustainable companies. So today I'm going to kind of quickly touch on two innovations in the interest of time. But before we go into that, let's take a look at some of the context. Of course, as we all know, given Singapore's significant push in the sustainability agenda, many of our customers, asset owners, developers have made ambitious targets with regards to sustainability. And I'm sure many of you here, FM practitioners, whether you are an in-house FM team, whether you are part of the FM service provider community, you have been tasked by your customers to look at how can you enhance the sustainability performance of buildings. Now, if you have already, I'm sure you have already done a lot of work in terms of switching to renewable energy sources, in terms of switching to LED lighting. These are very, easy, quick wins, right? If you have not, please do that right away and put it as priority. The thing is that when we start to harvest all these quick wins, it gets harder and harder to meet these sustainability performance targets over time. And so, from a lift and escalator industry perspective, we do have a humble contribution to the energy performance as well as other aspects of sustainability performance in the building. So as I mentioned today, I'm going to talk about two. However, KONE has been investing in sustainable innovations for many years now. And, in 2022, we also won SGBC's Sustainable Leadership in Sustainability Award as well. And I'm going to talk about two of them. Now, of course, if you have a building that is 15, 20, 25 years old, to quickly harvest the energy efficiency sort of benefit, you could change out your key building infrastructure, right? Such as your chiller plant, such as your lifts as well. However, each of this is quite a big project. It is also something that is very capital intensive. Okay? The two innovations that I'm going to talk about today are easy to implement, simple to implement, and is relatively, I suppose from a cash flow perspective, more affordable than doing that big scale of engineering works. So the first one is our predictive maintenance technology known as 24/7 connected services. Now, the whole predictive maintenance topic for lift and escalators have been in the news a lot in the last 6 months, thanks to BCA's push to implement the RM&D sandbox, remote monitoring and diagnostic sandbox that was announced in July 2022. And since then, we have heard and seen many customers being very interested in this and trying to understand more about how they can implement RM&D into the daily operations. So before I go into the benefits of RM&D, maybe a quick show of hands. Anybody have any idea about what RM&D is about, or predictive maintenance for lift and escalators? No one? I might need another 20 minutes to explain it. But with the BCA's RM&D sandboxing, what it really means is today, legally, by law, we all have to do a maintenance visit to the buildings, to each of the equipment to service it in order for us to obtain the permit to operate the equipment. If this is not done, the equipment needs to be shut down, because then it does not comply with the regulations. However, if you as the building operator, the building owner, implement a RM&D solution or predictive maintenance solution into your lift for now, then you can actually apply to BCA to reduce the number of maintenance visits from 12 to as little as 4. Now, I say as little as 4 because it really depends on various parameters that you need to consider. And it may not be 4, it could be 6, it could be 8, it could be 10. So again, there's I guess a collaborative effort between the lift and escalator company, the customer, and BCA when it comes to how we define what that correct operating model is in consideration of the various operating requirements. Okay, so now why is it? What you would think? Well, how does this actually contribute to sustainability? You may ask. So these two innovations that I'm going to kind of explain a little bit more, I try to group the benefits into the ESG pillars. So for E, when you do predictive maintenance, and again, doing predictive maintenance, there are 4 steps to predictive maintenance, operationalizing it, right? There is detection, there is diagnostics, there is action, and then, of course, then the feedback. Post the action, and then it goes into a loop to continually improve the algorithm behind the predictive maintenance technology. So the detection is really the easiest bit, and it has the lowest barrier of entry. But what happens after you detect is the key. And if you can do diagnostics well, this is where you can really see the benefit in the E pillar, which is extending the part's shelf life and also reducing waste when we are able to do needs-based targeted servicing. Okay? Now, KONE is one of the first in our industry to launch this predictive maintenance technology as early as 2016, 2017. We've already launched it, and we've been operating this for 5 years now. And currently in our base, we have over 200,000 connected units globally. And of these 200,000 units, about 50,000 units are from non-KONE equipment. Okay, so not our brand. What this means is, as you can imagine, from a data analytics perspective, predictive analytics perspective, the bigger the size of your installed base that are feeding into the predictive maintenance algorithm, the more powerful, the more accurate it would be. Okay? So with a strong diagnostics backbone, this is where you can start to see benefits in terms of parts extension of, you can keep a parts in use for longer, and you don't need to change out parts. Sometimes, and I guess it's no secret, with any engineering systems, when you have a problem with your computer, the first thing you call IT out there, they'll say, oh, power on and off, right? And then, oh, it doesn't work. Okay, let's do this, let's do that. This whole trial and error method actually generates a lot of waste. Sometimes, parts are replaced, but they are not the right parts to be replaced, actually, okay? So this needs-based targeted servicing will reduce waste by making sure that we are only replacing what is needed to be replaced, okay? And you can actually track this and quantify this and use this as part of your operational reporting to your sustainability team. Okay? The second part is safety. The S pillar, and one of which is really around safety. Based on our last 5 years of data, by implementing a predictive maintenance technology for lifts, we are able to reduce entrapment by 40%. Okay, so this really have a big, impact on improving the safety of users, particularly in a country like Singapore, where actually we are a lot of high rise, and so lifts becomes one of those primary method that people can get around. And being entrapped, being trapped in a lift is no joke, right? So being able to reduce and improve the safety performance of the equipment is, again, a social pillar that is part of that S requirement. And then the availability, okay? Again, based on our data, we are able to increase the availability of equipment by 40% as well, 35 to 40%. Now, what this means is it actually improves accessibility in the community. In Singapore and in many places around the world, when we have got aging population, where we have got people who are not able to take the escalator and take the stairs, for example, again, lifts become a very important aspect of their daily life. So being able to increase the uptime of the equipment means that we can improve accessibility as a whole in the community, in your buildings. So consider these points when you are asked by your sustainability team to give inputs into your annual report in the coming year. Maybe this is something that you can start to quantify and start to place a different spin and a different angle beyond just reporting how much energy we've saved, how much waste we've saved, how much water we've saved. Okay. Lastly, in the governance, well, when we look at ESG and the G pillar in the smart building operations is certainly one that falls under that. Really having the structure in place to make data-based decision, having a robust framework to manage your assets, manage your buildings efficiently. So that's really what is under G in the built environment. And of course, with the 24/7, with the predictive maintenance technology, you are able to extract various data, operational data, to make better decisions for the building. Okay? And of course, the last bit is really around the operational risk management, which is really tied to unexpected breakdowns, right? Unscheduled downtime, entrapments, and so on. So by having a better handle on the equipment performance in real time, you are able to also manage the risk associated with the use of this equipment, and then, consequently, the building better. All right. The second innovation that I wanted to touch on is the built-in connectivity of equipment these days. If you've bought a lift or an escalator 15, 20 years ago, it is a mechanical, kind of piece of equipment, right? There's nothing smart about it. But of course, with technology enhancement, we are starting to see the importance of being connected, importance of it being able to connect to the cloud and things like that. Now, KONE's strategy is not so much as building a mechanical piece of equipment and then adding external sensors and so on to it. No, what we do is we built it in. So it's very much like how you have a smartphone, right? And so it operates on an open API kind of platform protocol so that the lift in the future can be plug and play with many different our ecosystem partners. Okay, so some of these examples are robotics. So of course, last year we were part of the committee that developed the communication protocols between robots and lifts, as well as doors. Okay, as you can imagine, for those of you who tried implementing robotic operations into building, you'll realize that in the past, it's very hard because every, cleaning company, you do a hardwire integration, security robot, okay, yeah, we do a hardwire integration. It's very expensive, very time consuming. But with our built-in connected elevators, we are able to really work with the robotic companies and offer them an open API for them to be able to connect to, such that they will no longer need to do it over and over and over again. As of now, we have about 30 plus robotic companies that have already successfully tested and integrated with our APIs. Okay? Now, this whole API use case actually really the sky's the limit. Today, we are seeing robotic elevator calls. We are seeing elevator calls on mobile phone. We are also having APIs relating to the ability to extract operational and performance data from the lifts into your various platforms. Okay? It could be a common building operating platform, such as the one that was presented by Envision just now, where we can patch in. And this then contributes to the overall whole of building energy optimization sort of plans. Okay? And then, with all these different integration, we are able to enable smart building operations as well, whether it is cleaning, whether it is security, concierge service, you name it. The APIs are also able to provide real-time safety performance data, okay? Also with other apps and systems that could improve building accessibilities and wayfinding. In fact, we have a partnership with a German app company called Blind Square. And what this app does is it's actually an app for the visually handicapped people, and it provides them with wayfinding, but it also then, when they get to an elevator, is able to call the elevator on behalf of the user. Okay, so these are all innovations that we're seeing out there, and we are growing our ecosystem partners. We have got smart building apps, we have got digital twin platforms, et cetera, and we have the biggest ecosystem partnership in the industry today. Okay, so I'm just going to leave with this last bit. We are still looking for different use cases that could work with our APIs. So, this is just an invitation to any of you who might have an interesting use case. Please let us know so that we can contact you, and then we can try and work out some of these interesting ideas. We have got a few projects that are running now that are very exciting, and hopefully in the next few months, we'll be able to unveil some of them that has to do with last mile delivery, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so with that, I thank you, and please let me know if you have any questions later on. Thank you.